Good afternoon class. Welcome to Daily Current Affairs, the paper Hindu. So let's see what are the articles today that we have. Fine, just a moment. Good afternoon Monica. Yes. Fine. So first article is about Ion China cabinet clears 7 ITPB battalions. So what happened? I have already discussed a similar article earlier that currently our external affairs minister has stated that we will be developing infrastructure in and around our border areas. Why? To sustain our borders, to ensure our sovereignty. In the same lines, this is one of the steps where ITPB is something, it is a police force, Indo-Tibetan police, border police, okay. So what they are doing here, they are trying to clear, not trying to clear, they have cleared 7 ITPB battalions and they are trying to work for betterment of the people. So over 9,000 personnel to be recruited for deployment in Arunachal Pradesh, 4,800 crores sanctioned under the Vibrant Villages program to stop migration and boost tourism in the border villages. So what is their main motto here? To boost tourism and to stop migration of these border people, because in the border itself there is a lot of issues. So people in this particular area tend to migrate to get or to go away from this particular tensions between our country and China. So as part of that, what India has done recently is they are trying to clear 7 ITPB battalions and to take this particular area, Arunachal Pradesh area. They have recruited for deployment of 9,000 personnel there and they are also working for boosting tourism in this particular area. Okay, fine. So that is about this article. Just a moment. So they have told that they have been allocated around 4,800 crore, that is same which is mentioned earlier. So yeah, 4,000 crore under Vibrant Village program. So the program is Vibrant Village program to stop migration and boost tourism in villages along the border. Okay, so that is about this. Next, the Cabinet Committee on Security cleared the proposal for raising the new ITPB battalions during a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. So this would entail a recruitment of 9,400 personnel for the deployment in Arunachal Pradesh. So they are trying to move 9,000 personnel, new military personnel into this particular border of Arunachal Pradesh, and they are also working on tourism in this particular area. That is about this article, nothing more than that. Yes, we will go to another article. So yesterday Kriti Singh, I think she was asking about Marburg virus. So we will see that. We will see that post this particular session. Okay. So if time permits, we will discuss today. Else we can post it tomorrow. Okay. Next. Anyways, I will give you the reference in which place you have to go through in WHO website. Whatever are the disease burdens, whatever are the existing virus, you can just go through this particular website, WHO website, where you can find all the symptoms, then regular test, precautions, how many days it will long, everything will be mentioned in this particular website, WHO. Okay. So yeah, merchandise exports decline, trade deficit narrows to a year low. So what is trade deficit? Trade deficit, balance of trade. So what is trade deficit basically? Yes. So trade deficit is nothing but where a particular country, let's say we are Indian, so in India, if we have more imports compared to less exports. So that gives you your negative trade balance leading to trade deficit. So what this article says is that merchandise exports decline. So our exports decline. So when our exports is declining and when the imports are at the same rate, then ideally what should be the case? Trade deficit should be increased. But here what happened? Trade deficit narrowed down. So we will see why. So what happened here? India's merchandise exports fell for the second month in a row with the value of shipments slipping to 6.6%, which is 32.91 billion. That means our exports, merchandise exports has decreased to or slipped to less than, to negative of 6.6% compared to the previous year, which accounted for $32.91 million. So now what happened? While the trade deficit narrowed to the lowest in a year at just 17.75 billion. So you need to understand that even we have a decrease in our exports, merchandise exports, but the trade deficit has seen a year low. Why? So the Commerce and Industrial Ministry, which is your MOKI website, okay, you can just refer to MOKI website too, also sharply revised the goods trade numbers in 2022, lifting the export figure from 3.6 billion to 38.7 billion, which indicates a year-on high compared with 12.2 estimates. This constitutes the maximum revision of export numbers so far, followed by 3.1 billion upgrade for August and 2.85 billion in November. Basically what they are happening is, we have regulated on our exports. Despite being declined, we have regulated on both our exports and imports, leading to the decrease or decline of our trade deficit. So imports which fell 3.6%. So now you have understood why our trade deficit has been narrowed down. Why? Because our imports also decreased. So exports decreased, our imports decreased. So overall there was a narrow down effect of our trade deficit. So that is about this article. Next, so no need to remember on your numbers, just remember that currently the scenario is that we have merchandise exports decreased, at the same time trade deficit is also decreasing because our exports are also being reduced. Okay. Next. So yesterday I was discussing about this BBC article. There was income tax survey towards the BBC office, and it was the second day in a row, and today third day is also continuing for its income tax compliance checking. Okay. So for that, it's still continuing. We will know once the outcomes come. Okay. So we are not going to discuss that right now. So let me go to national news again. All these are local news. Local. Yes. So again, as part of your SNT, every day we will be seeing one or the other article referring to our SNT part. So here, indigenous carrier Vikrant will be operational by year end. So our carrier, this is an indigenously developed one, aircraft carrier which will be on, see this is an aircraft carrier, this is INS Vikrant. You would think that this is INS Vikrant, no. This is an INS Vikrant which has been commissioned, indigenously developed, one of the pride projects of India. So it is under testing currently, and it will be launched into use by this year end. That is about this article. Nothing more than that is there mentioned here. The indigenous light combat aircraft LCA Navy and MiG-29K undertook maiden landings on the carrier earlier this month. So despite the occurrences of testing of INS Vikrant, it has landed down 2 aircrafts, which is MiG-29K and your LCA Navy, light combat aircraft. So these two have landed on this particular carrier, but still it is under testing and it will be completely functional by this year end. So that is about this article. Yeah, rest all it's about same thing, not required much. Next. HAL to provide maintenance and overhaul support to MQ-9B drone engines in India. So this MQ-9B drone engines are made of or manufactured by USA. Okay. So currently what is happening is they have manufactured it. Now assembling should be there. So each individual parts would be manufactured from USA. This assembling place will be HAL. That says about this article. So what is this article about? India took to purchase Armed Predator remotely piloted aircraft system. See, Armed Predator remotely piloted aircraft system, which is RPAS. So it is remotely monitored. So that means no man, that means unmanned aerial vehicle, similar to your drones. That is why it is called as drone engines. Unmanned aerial vehicle, UAV. So one of such kind which can be remotely operated, and it is actually developed by US, and currently the assembly and all in India will be happening through HAL. Again, one of the prestigious products. So yeah, everything about that only it is mentioned, nothing more than that. Yes, that's all. So they have given specifications that whatever are the lease products that we have taken, Indian Navy operates two MQ-9B Sea Guardians taken on lease in 2020 from whom? From USA. Okay. A larger deal of 30 armed MK-9Bs, 10 for each service is pending. So currently 2 we have already borrowed, and now we are still left with, we have another 30 more deals with USA for the same particular product, which will be coming this particular year or somehow. In 2020 we got, and our estimation budget for that is $3 billion. Okay. Defense equipments are costlier. HC questions on the use of POXO Act in Assam child marriage cases issue. I was mentioning that Feb 2nd was the day where Assam has took an act that whoever have married minor girl childs, those people will be put behind bars. So even if it is consensual relationship from the woman also, even if she is a minor, but still she is accepting that particular marital agreement, still that particular person who has got into this relationship with a woman will be put behind bars under POXO Act. Okay. So stating that it is it is a rape, basically POXO Act in the sense having sexual abusement towards the woman, towards girl child here. Okay. So here what happened was, HC has questioned it, HC of Assam has questioned that, see what it has happened, we will go to the article, important as part of your society. So Guwahati High Court has questioned the application of Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act in child marriages cases Assam, while granting anticipatory bail to 9 people booked under Prohibition of Children Marriage Act POXO on Feb 14th. So what happened here, HC High Court of Assam, Guwahati High Court has questioned that why people have, or why the government has opted for POXO Act, why it has chosen for this particular POXO Act and put people behind bars. So with that it has given anticipatory bails to 9 people, but total count of arrests has increased or has crossed the count of 3000. Imagine from Feb 2nd to till date, it is still February 16th, till date the arrests were more than 3000. So is it really believable that all these 3000 people are criminals, or they have performed sexual act without the consent of the women? No. 90% or 100% we can tell that at least some of the parts of these arrests would be at least there in a consensual or consent wise relation. Okay. So here what is the issue? What High Court has told is that, I will zoom it a bit. So yeah, if marriage is taking place in the violation of the law, so what the Chief Justice, I think, Justice Suman Shyam of Guwahati High Court has mentioned is that if marriage is taking place in the violation of law, then the law will take its own course. These cases have been happening since time. We will only consider if immediate custodial integration is required or not. At this moment the court thinks that these are not matters of custodial interrogation. We will ask them to appear and record their statements. These are NDPS smuggling, so these are not. So what High Court spells is that this is not something like narcotic drugs or something, or any kind of smuggling or stolen property. They are into some marital relationship. So it's not something of a POXO or sexual harassment to a girl child. So we can call them for interrogation, but not for arresting them without any proper reason. So if they are breaking the law, if they are violating the law, then we can arrest them. Then we can take, see, if they are violating the law, then law will take its action. If not, then why are you taking it? That is what they have questioned. So they told that let it be for some time, we will come and we will acknowledge, or we will give you another statement upon this. Till then wait. That is what Assam court has told. So calling the allegations weird, the court sought to know if there are any allegation of rape. So they told that if there is any allegation of rape behind this particular arrest, then tell us. So that is what this article is about. Okay, fine. Rest all is fine. So we will see, there will be huge updates now on this because HC has overtaken it. Definitely we will have huge news about it continuously. Governor should not enter into political arena, says who? Chief Justice of India. Who is the Chief Justice of India? Chandrachud. Justice D.Y. Chandrachud. So in this article they have mentioned about political news. Leaving the political news, what is important I will tell you. Supreme Court on Wednesday told the governors were not supposed to venture into political arena of alliance making among parties. So you know coalition government or you know alliances. Coalition government is the one formed post elections where 2-3 parties or n number of parties would have contested in the elections, would not got any proper majority. Then they will form an alliance and then they will form a government. That is a coalition government. What is this alliance making among the parties? This will occur just before the elections. So people will try to jump or people will try to form an alliance of 2 to 3 political parties. They try to come into a mutual agreement that if this number of people are going to be won or going to win in your particular party, then we will be giving this particular ministries to you. So this is what the alliance forming. So in this, Supreme Court has told that governor should be least involved into this alliance making process. So it is nowhere mentioned in the constitution or in the rights or in the powers of governor to involve into matters where coalition or alliance making is coming into picture. Where the governor work starts is that, see, how can a governor have to be here all on this? So I will tell you, the governor's role is when they form the government. So when they are forming the government, they will approach the governor, that is when the role of governor starts. Before that, whatever the alliances may be, governor is least concerned. That is about this article. So the governor will ask them to form a trust board. Governor should not enter into political arena. So that is about this article. And post that, there is any kind of violations, then what can come into picture? 10th schedule can come into picture. What is 10th schedule about? Anti-defection law. So that can come into picture post elections. So after that, if there is any issue, then they will consult the speaker, respective speaker, and then if he considers that or she considers that it is a point to be notified as an anti-defection, then or as a defection, then that particular trial will start. Till then, governor should not be involved. After formation of government only, he should be involved or she should be involved. That is what this article says. Nothing more than that. Yes. So you noted that the 10th schedule of the constitution was meant to prevent unprincipled defections or not stifle genuine dissent. That means if they are really not interested in one particular party, they can jump into some other particular party for elections. That is a genuine dissent. It is not something to be pointed out by governor. So it is not under the ambient of governor to involve into the matters of alliances. Okay. So that is about this article. Just a moment. What happened? Did it start? It started now. Okay. You are not receiving enough video to smooth. Okay, fine. Next. So that is about this article. Let's go for another article. India, Bangladesh to back each other at UNSC membership. So we are constantly working on this permanent permanent membership in UNSC. So currently we both are going to work mutually to support each other in UNSC. That is about this article. So India and Bangladesh on Wednesday agreed to support each other's non-permanent membership at UNSC Council. So apart from this, they have again gone to some other agreements. What are those fields? So to have bilateral development in projects, defense cooperation, security issues during the visit of Foreign Ministry Vinay Mohan Quatra to Dhaka. So our Foreign Ministry has visited to Dhaka, Bangladesh. Okay. So where they have discussed that we will be having mutual cooperation and considerations with regard to our UNSC, non-permanent membership in UNSC, at the same time in different other sectors like defense, security and other developmental infrastructure. So that is about this article. So Mr. Quatramet, all these details not required here. So Narendra Modi's message of continued commitment of bilateral relationship, upholding Bangladesh as a pivot India's neighborhood first policy. So that's speaking about neighborhood first policy. Then a key partnership to Act East policy. So we are currently focusing on our neighborhood countries because we need security. So we are developing, we are going to mutual agreements with different other countries. Why? Especially our neighborhood countries, because we need to, what we can say, we need to constrain or we need to protect our country from the growing footprint of China. So that is our ultimatum. So here that is why we are having mutual agreement, okay, mutual agreements with Bangladesh. Okay, so that is about this article. India's 21-22 non-permanent membership at the UNSC ended last December and another stint is expected in 28-29. So we are already focusing on for permanent membership in UNSC, but as of now what is the issue is that for 21-22 December, yeah, for the last December, which is 22 December, our UNSC non-permanent ship has been ended. So further there has to be some proposals. During the General Assembly meeting, there will be certain kinds of proposals where they should support that these countries should be part of non-membership, non-permanent member countries. So for that we will have mutual agreement with India and Bangladesh, and it is understood that the internal discussion is underway in Dhaka for the possible non-permanent stint for Bangladesh in UNSC during 2030-31. So they will be supporting us now and then we will be supporting them then. 2030-31. Okay, that is about this particular article. Next. So Uttarakhand joshimat issue. So Uttarakhand firms up joshimat relief plan. So what has happened? We know there was land subsidence, land was going below the expected level because there was allegations that due to the growing government initiatives of infrastructure and the existing infrastructural projects has triggered or has boosted the existing landslide issues in Joshimat. So that is a basic issue. Now what is the thing is that the government has given 3 options for the existing people, residents of Joshimat. Only that is important in this article. We will see what are those compensation that government is ready to offer. Okay, fine. So first one is to opt for compensation. Whatever the compensation amount is there, you can take it. Number 2. The second is the affected person of the family can seek land from the government and compensation for the damaged building. Suppose I have a building there in Joshimat. My land is being subsidized. It has gone down. So now I can ask for the compensatory amount or the compensatory building directly. So my second option is asking land from the government and a compensation for the damaged building. So my land and for the damaged building both I will have compensation amount given from government. So land measuring from 75 square meters, all these specifications again not required. What is the third option? A person of the family can demand residential building constructed related to his land and building. So now I will be asking for a land and for the compensatory amount for my building. Third option is that I will ask the government itself to give me land and build me a building. So that is my third option. So in these 3 options, based on their eligibility, they will be given respective chances. That is about this article. Okay. So yeah, nothing is more than that. Next. Israel group running fake campaigns in India and other nations. Elections is near. Fake campaigns, data theft, data compromise, everything will be existing now. Even in the US elections also, Facebook was alleged that it has data breached. It has data breached n number of people, users of Facebook. Okay. So now what is the allegations is that Israel group, a cyber group, basically it is running a fake campaigns in which in India also it is trying to do that because upcoming elections in 2024. So they need to boost up campaigns. For that Israel group is working on. So team of Israeli contractors who are feared to have inferred with more than 30 elections around the world have been linked with software to operate fake social media campaigns across several countries including India, a report said on Wednesday. So basically this happens in different countries and India is not a exception for that. So in India also they have started this fake campaigns in ahead of elections. Okay. So yeah, in an international investigation journalist consortium, so consortium included the Guardian in the UK, a firm dubbed Team George has been linked with the allegations offering a sophisticated software package named Advanced Impact Media Solutions, AIMS. This is important, through which they are doing. So there is a software package called which can be installed. So it's called Advanced Impact Media Solution, aims to commercial clients as one of the key services. So it will commercialize the clients, it will get lots of amount in return and it will do fake campaigns by different social media platforms. So that is about this article. Okay, fine. Next. So other countries also it has been mentioned. All 20 countries, UK, US, Canada, Germany, Switzerland, Mexico, Senegal and India too. So almost 20 other countries are being affected because of this fake social media campaigns. Next. So China must take a haircut on its loans to poor countries, says India's G20 Sherpa. So what this particular person says is that if China is lending loans, then it is its own responsibility to take their loans back. And basically you know that so what is the benefit of these fake campaigns? Basically this fake, just a moment, let me open that. So when there are fake campaigns basically benefit the clients. So suppose a political party is having a negative impact. Let's say a political party is there, it is trying to contest into one particular election, but what is happening here is that this particular party has negative portrayal in the public. Now these elections or this fake campaigns target on the people, especially of youth or who are the elected voters basically. So these target social media platforms so that they will change their motto. That means they will change the ideological perspective of that particular person. So they will be giving lots of ads in a positive way of impact, changing their ideology. So they will give certain kinds of surveys. All these are a benefit so that a particular political party, even if it is lagging, there will be certain kinds of census or reports, surveys. Basically there are surveys which will be launched just before the elections or just before. There will be certain kinds of surveys so that it states what can be the party that will be elected in future, like in the coming elections, what can be the possibility that a particular party will be elected. So after knowing this survey, big heads or big politicians will go and conduct such kind of fake campaigns. So what these basically campaigns do, it will make the party which is under power or which is about to get the power or going to a position, it will try to show the negative or the negative impacts or the negative face of that particular political party, and it converts their eye or it changes its perspective to the other particular party which they have got into agreement. So I think it's clear for you, sir. Fine. So China must take a haircut on its loans to poor countries, says India's G20 Sherpa. So Beijing needs to come out openly and say that the debt is, what is their debt or what their debt is and how to settle it, says Amitabh Kant in a rare direct inference or reference to China debt of developing nations. While the US has been vocal critic to Chinese debt, India has seldom commented on while it takes on sovereign debt. So before going to this article, we need to know what is sovereign debt. So let me show that. So country's debt basically. So when you know about this sovereign debt, suppose any other foreign country, let's say IMF, it will analyze our sovereign debt and then it will analyze the stability of our country or stability of the economy of our country, and then it will be ready to take a decision to give or not a particular loan. So what is sovereign debt? So the amount of money that a country's government has borrowed, typically issued as bonds denominated in a reserve currency. So what is this? What is this sovereign bond? So sovereign debt basically. A particular government will take loans, that can be domestic or international arena. So these loans can be through bonds or any other way through banks. So analyzing of that entire debt by whom? By a particular government is your sovereign debt. So here what this article says is that India has been vocal now. Like after a very seldom speaks, in the sense India will never critic as of, like directly it will not critic China. So here what it says is that it's a high time that China has to mention in the open arena, in the international arena, about its debt. So it includes both its personal debt or the debt it is giving to poorer countries. So here their major focus is on its loans to poorer countries. Okay. So sovereign debt in the sense that the country's debt. Here what are the loans that China has given to poorer countries, and while commenting on this, India did not mention anything about our sovereign debt. Okay. So China must agree to a haircut on its loans to poor countries and assist their economic recovery. India's G20 Sherpa has said in a rare direct reference to Chinese debt on developing countries. So Chinese debt of developing countries, based on that they have alleged that it is high time that China should react, should come openly to develop or to ensure that there are developing activities or economic development activities that is going to be happening in these developing countries. Okay. So China needs to come out openly and say what their debt is and how to settle it. So what is their debt about? Two things: personal debt, what the country has taken; second thing, what they have given or what they are invested into other countries. So we don't know, right, what is the exact figures of it. So that who says? Amitabh Kant. So according to that, so it can't be the International Monetary Fund takes a haircut and goes to settle Chinese debt. So it is their own responsibility to take their own loans cleared, or to take their own loans to come forward and express into the social media or into the international media. That is what this article is about. Yeah. So yeah, they have given certain specifications which is not much relevant. Let's see. Next. Yes, this is an article again important for your geography part. So very rare articles would come on geography in Hindu, I would say, in a frequency compared to your SNT or any other subjects. So yeah, let's see this article. Warm water melts Antarctica's glacier. So in Antarctica we know that there are glaciers, and warm waters are currently melting these glaciers. So what is the issue? Scientists studying Antarctica's vast Thaivites glacier, nicknamed as Doomsday Glacier, saw warm water is seeping into the weak spots, worsening melting caused by rising temperatures. Two papers published in Nature Journal showed on Wednesday. So in Thaivites or Doomsday Glacier, it is showcased or it is witnessed that huge glaciers has been melted. So warm waters are being flooding out. So that is about this article. So it is a direct impact of what? Climate change. Okay. So Thaivites, which is a roughly size of Florida, represents more than half a meter of global sea level rise potential and could destabilize neighboring glaciers that have potential to cause further 3-meter rise. 3-meter rise of that particular river would be witnessed once if this glacier is completely going to melt. So that is the level of impact that this particular glacier has, and currently it is on the edge of melting. It already started melting. Okay. So yeah, that is about this article. Next. Government wanting imports to detect any surge that can hurt the economy. So I just now spoke that trade deficit is reducing now. As of now, trade deficit has been reducing. So out of this, another what a speculation is that Ms. Nirmala Sitharaman has told that as part of our Atmanirbhar Bharat, we are not only focusing on developing indigenously of different products, but we are also focusing on our imports. So, if there is any surge or any increase in the imports, we are trying to curtail it. So, we are trying to issue certain kinds of duties, so like countervailing duty or anti-dumping duty. So, all these duties you will be learning in your economy, like anti-dumping and countervailing duties. So, in such cases duties will be levied. Indirectly she is mentioning that. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat approach is not inward looking, imports of critical imports are not barred, says Nirmala Sitharaman. Finance Minister urges exports to be mindful of global demand slowdown in order to guard against demotivated. So, she also mentions that being in India, we need to not only, so as a government we will be curbing certain limitations on imports, but as far as the critical imports or critical materials which are to be imported, we will not be restraining it. At the same time, if you are exporting some other goods into foreign markets, make sure that if there is a huge demand for that or not. So, when demand is not there, you will get yourself demotivated, you will get yourself losses. So, that is what she says. So, be cautious. So, this statement showcases that the Western countries or the countries which we are exporting are under the edge of recession. Okay? Yes. Next. So, the center was keeping a keen eye on merchandise import trends to assess if there was flooding of any particular goods. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman observing even a few months of import surges could hurt the economy for a whole year. So, she says that even if for the particular quarter if there is a surge or if there is an increase in import, then it will be affecting hugely for the entire year. So, that is the case currently. So, we have to focus on both imports and exports. Okay. So, that is about this article. There is nothing more to discuss about it. Okay. So, Atmanirbhar Bharat, people think that it is, so it is not an inward looking, that means we are not closing our markets. It says that we are not barring everything. Critical assets will be, critical assets of imports will be there, but we are barring to a certain extent. She hasn't specified on what she will be barring, but we will know soon. Okay. And there was a question posed to her that will the GST be levied on petroleum? So, as of now, for these petroleum products, we don't have any GST. It is out of the ambient of GST. So, when a question was posed to her that whether there will be an introduction of GST on petroleum, she has mentioned that it is not a center alone that can decide. So, we need to take consent about states and we need to work on what can be the possible impacts because of taking petroleum under the ambient of GST. So, our post information or post understanding, we will be further deciding on what should be the necessary steps taken. Okay. That is about that article. Next. Government may mull fuel tax cut to cool prices. So, yesterday I was mentioning that food inflation, retail inflation has been increasing. So, it is more than the limit. So, currently you can see that, yes, the retail inflation has been increased to 6.52%. So, in order to that, what our country, what we have come forward is that, yes, so it has been trying to do tax cut on these. So, the government could consider cutting taxes on some items such as maize fuel. Why? These are core products, no? Food and fuel, core products. So, they are trying to cut taxes on this to reduce the inflation tendencies on this particular product. So, it has already been or increased to 6.52% than the previous quarter 5.72%. So, the food inflation is likely to be staying high. So, it is going to sustain, this food inflation would be sustaining, and the price of milk, maize, soy oil are adding to inflation worries in the near term. So, including food and fuel, some other products like maize, soy oil, milk, which again comes under your food industry, will also be posing a huge threat for inflation tendency in food inflation. So, in food products basically. Next, the government is looking at the cutting import duties. So, what it is planning to do? Import duties, custom duties we have. So, whenever we are importing something, we have certain kinds of duties that we have to pay as a taxes, that taxes will be reduced. Okay. Likely to be reduced, that means most probably would be reduced. So, it is still not official, so we have to wait. Cereal inflation broad based and worrying, says economists. In the similar way, so that is about food inflation which I told. In this food inflation, if you take cereals alone, it has seen a growth of inflation of how much? around 16.1%. Very huge inflation on cereals, so which needs to be reduced again. So soaring prices of cereals such as wheat, rice are a concern for the Indian economy. Even if the latest set of inflation data may overstate the extent of increase. That means it is still did not mention clearly that, so food inflation we have seen 6.52%, but when you see cereals in the specific example, so what is the maximum, sorry, what is the current hit of inflation? It is 16.1%. So in January and compared to 13.7% in December, so it did not decrease in the last quarter also, 13.7% and now it is in 16.7% as part of your inflation in cereals. So yeah, that is about this article. So they are trying to curb it and it is like worrisome. So they haven't come into proper details on what can be the possible steps. So once we get into that, we will be discussing that article too. Okay, next. Yes. So Defence Ministry to spend the most on domestic industries. So Aero India 2023, we have got 80 countries and we have put an ambitious target that 70,000 crore would be outlay of exports, but currently achieved is around 18,000 crore. So we are currently focusing on our domestic industries. So here the Defence Ministry would spend 70% of the India's total defence capital outlay to spend on procurement from domestic defence. That means suppose this defence materials will be there, raw materials, infrastructure or any direct materials, tools can be your aircrafts or any assembly parts, can be your radar, any kind of drone maybe. So any kind of this defence material, what currently Defence Ministry is focusing on that is 75% of the defence recruitment or procurement will be from domestic industries only. So whatever the industries can be your HAL or any other industries which is coming forward, for private entities basically, it will give more ample of chances to that particular innovation in defence. To whom? To domestic industries. Okay. Next. Now, this terminology is important. So I will just tell you what is this terminology and further we can proceed. Okay. Fine. Taxing windfall profits of oil companies. So in this I need to mention only about what are windfall taxes, okay, how it is being charged, from when it is being charged, what is windfall profits. So now let me take about oil prices only. So currently this topic is about oil, so let me tell about that only, what is exactly happening. Till before the Ukraine-Russia war, the world is entirely like most probably dependent on for oil from Arab countries and also Ukraine and Russia. So they were like topmost countries through which we are importing oil. Once this war has started, then hugely this oil prices has increased and lot of exports from these countries has decreased. Okay. So now let's say I am an oil company in India, ONGC. Okay. Let me be an oil private company in India. Suddenly I am manufacturing or I am basically in the manufacturing or in the procurement of oil, something or the other way. I am an oil company present in India. Because of this effect of Russia and Ukraine war, suddenly the demand for oil that has been present in me has increased. So what would be my level of profit? Till last year I would have sold it for 70 rupees, today I am selling it for 120 rupees, right. So because of some external agencies, if my profit has been increased, then that particular profit can be for an on and off, that means can be for a temporary basis. So like it can be for some time it cannot be there. Example, your tomatoes, let me say. So seasonally the prices will be different, on and off. Here also it can be increased for a while, it can be decreased for a while, at the same time it can sustain for a longer period. Now what is this windfall taxes is that whatever the level of profits that has been increased, on these profits, so we will calculate on the percentage of profit that has been increased since the previous year to this year, and that particular profit will be taxed. So now you need to understand, I am repeating it again, what is windfall taxes is that, yes, I will be repeating it for you, Monica. So I am an oil company, because of some external factors, my particular company has shown profits. Let's say for a particular quarter, my particular company has seen huge profits compared to the previous quarter. So let's say it is around 100% of profit. Okay, I am telling about the ideal case, ambitious case, where 100% profit compared to the previous year, previous quarter or previous year. Now, this particular profit is due to some external agencies, right? Not because of any kind of internal agencies, or maybe or some or the other way, my demand for that particular product has increased, my profits has increased. Now, in position of government, it will tax on this particular profits. Windfall taxation. So, because of these external agencies that I got benefited, I got my profits, that particular profit will be taxed based on the level of percentage of profit that has occurred in this particular year. Understood or not, Monica? Did you understand? I will again read out, it is here again, I will discuss it again. I wanted to explain the normal terms and then I will read out to you what are these profits, what are these windfall profits. Windfall profit is something that you will achieve this profit because of some other external agency and when it is being taxed, that is called windfall tax. Okay, clear, fine. So, let me go to the gist first. On February 3rd, the Union government hiked the windfall profit tax levied on domestically produced crude oil as well as on the export diesel aviation turbine fuel. So, domestically produced fuels or domestically produced oils and something which has been exported of diesel and aviation turbine, on this the profit taxation has been increased by government. Why? Because of the underlying reason of Russia and Ukraine war. They have seen huge profits and for that particular profit our government has levied taxation. They have increased that profit taxation. Why? Why should we increase? Distributive justice. Distributive justice. So, we need to have financial inclusion. So, the amount or the profit or whatever the money that is being circulated should be distributed. So, to ensure this distributive justice, to ensure as a welfare country, we need to tax them on all this. All the basic reason behind this taxation is distributive justice only. So, yeah. Now, windfall profits refer to an unanticipated spike in earnings of an entity resulting from an exogenous event which could be on, off or prolonged. So, which I told you. So, it can be because of some external or exogenous events, can be on and off and not resulting from a business decision. So, it is not because of the business decisions which I have taken. I have not come into some innovation techniques. It is only because of some external agencies and it can be on and off or it can be prolonged. Okay. Next. So, Russia's action in Ukraine was central to the volatility observed in the oil market compared to the previous calendar year. So, what was the reason behind this? Russia and Ukraine war is a reason for which this has seen spike. Okay. So, yeah, that is about this article. So, again it has mentioned, and taxing on this windfall profits is mentioned or recommended by B.K. Chaturvedi committee report on financial position, let me underline it well, on financial position of oil companies 2008. So, on this particular act, they have come forward for what? Taxing on windfall profits. Okay. So, that is about this article. So, everything which I have mentioned, it is there. So, as per the government, the collection of special additional excise duty for the ongoing financial year is estimated to be 25,000 crore from the production of crude oil, export of petrol, diesel and ATF. So, basically what they are focusing on, the expectation amount, the expected amount of taxation would be 25,000 crore this year because of the grown demand of oil. Okay. Next. So, yeah, that is about this article. You can just go through this. Next. Understanding India's Mental Health Care Act 2017. So, what is this Act of Mental Health Care 2017? So, one thing that they have mentioned in this article is that, so there are some public units or PSUs which are working for a mental health development for people. So, some people will be given counseling, some people will be taken into mental hospitals and they will be treated there, right. So, now what is the issue here is that these private entities or the government run mental hospitals or mental counseling units are prolonging the span of existing mental health patient. So, even if they are being cured, even if they are capable of living with their family or with they can go back to their own family, but still they are being placed or kept in this particular centers only. So, that is an alleging effect or this particular article is about. So let's see. What are the various challenges for the implementation of Mental Health Care Act 2017? What did the National Human Rights Commission say about the Act execution across the country? So yeah, what is the gist? National Health Rights Commission in a report flagged inhuman and deplorable condition of all 46 government and mental health care institutions across the country. These observations were made to visit all the operational facilities under the implementation of this particular act. So what this article is telling is that National Human Rights Commission has told that the current all government run hospitals which are ensuring for mental health are all under inhuman and deplorable conditions. They are very vulnerable conditions. They are showcasing inhuman situations to its people. So that is what the report says. MHA 2017 Center, the agencies of individuals acknowledge the right to live as a part of community and focus on rehabilitation. So currently what should be their focus? Their focus should be on rehabilitation procedure. So it's about making them going into their own society after this struggle. That should be the case and not prolonged stay in their centers. So the poor budgetary allocation and the utilization of funds creates a scenario where shelter homes remain under-equipped and establishments are understaffed. So because of the lack of what? Lack of allocation of funds and utilization of funds also, it is being under-equipped and also staff is also understaffed. Okay. So yeah, so National Commission has reported the same. The report notes that the facilities are illegally keeping patients long after their recovery, what is an infringement of the human rights to mentally ill patients. So they are wantedly, deliberately keeping these people for a longer or prolonged time. So these observations were made after the visits to operational facilities to access the implementation of MHA 2017. So that is a criticism on existing MHA 2017 that you need to know. So what does the article say? Center, the agency individuals acknowledge their right to live as a part of community under section 19 and focused on rehabilitation. So their focus must be on rehabilitation. So it's not about prolonging their journey into that particular place. So what does this article further say is that it discourages physical restraints such as chaining. So if a mentally ill patient is there, you cannot chain them. So as they show in the movies, you cannot chain them to their bed. Okay. So it restrains this particular acts of chaining, unmodified electroconvulsive therapy, which is your shock therapy. So they will be giving shock therapies, which it is again prevalent in movies. Earlier they used to give, but after this 2017, it strictly abolishes that. They discourage, or it's not complete elimination, but it discourages the implementation of chaining or electroconvulsive therapy, and pushes the right to hygiene, sanitation, food, recreation, privacy and infrastructure. So even if the patient is mentally ill, he is not or she is not deprived of their right to life, right to human rights. It still exists for them. That is about this article. Okay. So they say everything that they should be provided with all the basic amenities that general public have. Okay. So yeah, that is about this article. Nothing that I need to discuss about. There is one data that I need to tell. Let me tell you, and then we can go to some other article. So yeah, under MHA safeguards the rights of the people in mental health care establishments, enforcement challenges remain. So enforcing of these particular challenges and other criticisms which I have mentioned about challenges is under allocation of funds and understaffed. Next, almost 36.25 resident services users at state psychiatric facilities were found to be living for 1 year or more in these facilities according to 2018 report. So on an average, people who are visiting this particular healthcare units are residing for 1 year or more. It is not the case. See, whoever are the people who are suffering from the mental health, they should not have a constraint that they need to stay for this long. They can go after a 1 month counseling too. That can also be sufficed. So they are telling that, and on the report all the states are required to establish state mental health authority and mental health review boards. So establishing this particular act and a particular center is not enough. You need to have state mental care units, and also a review board should be there for each individual state. So bodies that can further draft standards for mental health care units, institutes, oversee their functioning, ensuring the complying of this particular act. So all these are the observations or further implementation that can be done for the existing challenges. Okay. So basic thing, you can again go ahead with that. Next, another important article. This is about Parahyas, I don't know if I am spelling correctly or not, Parahyas of Jharkhand tribes. So this article says about the role of welfare schemes and policies for Parahyas of Jharkhand. So here you need to know that Parahyas are one among the PVTGs, okay, particularly vulnerable tribes, so tribe groups. What this article says? While many government policy schemes have been announced across the country to help vulnerable communities, it is imperative to look at the extent on which the schemes have been succeeded. So, now giving different schemes, for example, we have a questions like, suppose if you could go to the social justice questions, you will be having like critically evaluate on the functions of National Commission for SC/ST. So, now you have to evaluate critically. That means what you have to do? You have to give a constructive criticism. In the same way, here what they are asking is, especially when there is a question on governance or targeting the weaker sections, they will be asking that what should be critically evaluate if the particular weaker section is really benefited or not. So, in that case, you need to mention particular data on how or what is the level of governance that is being penetrated into these vulnerable sections. So, they are PVTGs coming under tribes. Okay. So, yeah. Anmol Samachi Food and Social Security for the Margins, Parahyas of Jharkhand is one such study that examines the level of penetration and coverage of government schemes and bottlenecks of that particular program implementation. So, we will go to that particular programs that is being given to PVTs, basically the public distribution system, food security public distribution system will be there. So, if there is any kind of direct benefit transfer where they have to transfer amount or money, monetary benefits to these people, understood. So, for that, what is the level of penetration we need to see. So, food and pension schemes. In Jharkhand, 88% of the PVTG households were on the PDS list under the Antyodaya scheme. So, under PDS in the sense public distribution system, under that particular list they were in Antyodaya scheme. How many people are there? 88% of these particular Parahyas of Jharkhand who are categorized under PVTGs, they were the beneficiaries. How many people? 88% were the beneficiaries. So, you can observe that they are a point to be successed. So, if further 12% people are being included, then 100% people will be included. So, they are included into the society. So, they also face the same issue like other tribes face, alienation. So, they are being far from the existing society. So, which ensured that PDS grains were free of cost for them. So, public distribution system, through that the grains, food grains that are being given are given free for this particular tribe. Okay. So, the author explains that such coverage was commendable as most of the households were scattered across the state. So, even if they are across the state, they are being covered. So, which is a positive note. Next. So, however, the lack of new ration card or other related issues resulted in 12% of the households not having access to the schemes. So, 88% are covered, still 12% are not being covered. Why? Because currently there was issue like Aadhaar should be linked, your fingerprint should be there, and Aadhaar should be linked to some other details, the ration card should be updated, all these kinds of technical updates, due to which 12% of people are lagging behind utilizing these existing funds or schemes. So, it was seen that the areas of Aadhaar based biometric authentication was mandatory, it became difficult to buy PDS grains. There has been a significant improvement in the PDS in the last decade despite having this particular biometric sessions, compulsory biometric. For issuing grains, there has been 12% reduction or 12% people are out of reach for this particular scheme. However, 88% people are beneficiaries, which has seen an exponential growth from last decade. Okay, so if you compare with the last decade, there is no much increase at all. So, that is about this article. Yeah. So, they also face history of exploitation, alienation, discrimination, marginalization, all these are the issues which has been faced by those that particular PVTG group. So, yeah, nothing they have mentioned about the particular author's view. So, I have mentioned whatever the data that is required for you to mention. Okay. So, yeah, that is about today's article. So, tomorrow I can start with that particular virus which you have asked, Marburg. So, we will see that particular virus first and then we will go to articles. So far, if you have any doubts, please let me know, else we can wind up the session. I hope there is no doubt for you. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the session. We'll continue with the tomorrow's class again.